I'm stuck inside the middle of a fight with good and evil. I try my best to mediate, but they're both stubborn people. I think I finally figured out this misery equation, the sum of my frustrations minus all my expectations. My name's Harley Neville. Welcome along to the Guy and Harley podcast.
And I'm Guy Pigton, and
that was Arrested Youth with their song Brightside.
that sounds like equation.
Yes, well,
their song plus my ear.
yeah, well, I quite like that. The sum of my frustrations. I also just liked Misery Equation, if I'm really honest with you. So, welcome along to episode 197. Are we going to do anything special for 200?
I was already 2 more episodes. 200 episodes extravaganza. Actually, all sorts of things going on.
Yeah, I have a bad feeling that it could be something similar to the Christmas special and the birthday special, which is nothing at all happens. We just do another show, and we might be late.
And 100 in the 150th episode.
Yes, well, good. Here we are. What's new with you? It feels like it was just yesterday that we just did this show, and now suddenly it's Thursday again.
Feel like that. Time's been flying. I've been busy editing. Talked about that last episode, and Glimpses is the documentary that friend Isaac Newcomb working on the edit, but to me, to kind of magic sauce, give it that special 20 years of editing magic that I have. So I have been editing that, and the deadline Doc Edge film the Sunday was the 31st of January was the deadline, and Pipton at the last minute got the upload up, subsequently uploaded a new version to our screener link because problems with the version that was embarrassing.
Well, I wouldn't worry too much about it. I think it'll be months before they watch it, because the festival itself isn't for ages, and they've got to, assemble the team and put them all in a room and, get them all to watch all of the movies that have been submitted. So that's what the programming team will be doing. So it'll take a while to get to it, I'd say. And I doubt they're working from, well, I mean, who knows? Maybe they watched them as they came in, and ours was one of the last. But I'd say they've probably got a huge backlog of docos to watch.
Well, we can only hope. Say good luck to the poor bastard.
Too many, because then our one has got better chances.
Well, I mean, we can only hope that backlog, so they haven't watched it yet.
Right.
It's small.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, good luck to the poor bastard or bitch.
Yeah, bitches. Okay. Yep.
The poor bastard or poor bitch who has to watch this, or potentially watch it more than once. This is the type of documentary that you watch and then you walk away and sit down and have a stare out at the sea for a while and question all your life choices and probably never ever see again. If I had to guess what type of
a lasting, strong. That's a good thing. It's a good thing. Yeah.
So just finished that, or finished this draft. There will probably be some revisions still, sadly. But that's the way it goes. So is the sort of the first draft cut has been assembled. Maybe it's a fine cut. I don't really know. I never really edit documentaries, so this is the first one. So it's a learning process, and it's also, deciding because the documentary is about my uncle who passed away. It's sort of deciding what is information that is important to sort of sum up the person he was, to sum up what he went through, but not measure that you're like, yeah, I don't care that he, did this thing or that thing like that. I just incorporate, trying to ask the question, well, what would he have wanted? Would he have wanted this included or not included? Would this be important to him? And having to ask that question, and unfortunately not having any ability to ask him directly. We could maybe try a seance, something like that.
Well,
I did get the most alarming thing was I got an email from my dead uncle over a year. That was quite a shocking surprise. That was just messing up and resending old emails for no particular reason. Just sent a bunch of old emails, one included from him, and I was like, what the hell?
Yeah. It's a ghost in the machine.
So exactly, made my blood run cold. So that's where that's at.
Well, there's
We've
a new
got it
movie,
up.
mate. There's a new movie. He's getting emails from the other side. Yeah, it starts happening.
I think someone's done that already.
Well,
in fact, they have.
They've done something similar, I'm sure. I know that there's one Black Mirror one, which is quite similar.
Yeah, and there's also Unfriended, which is basically same concept. So that's what I've been working on over this last sort of week, and still working on it today.
When's the premiere then of this new new documentary? So it's nearing completion. It's been submitted to a festival.
Yep.
We've got to wait to hear from festivals to see if it's going to premiere at one of those. But I guess we have to wait and see, really. See what it gets into.
Well, it does need a sound mix and grade. They're the sort of last steps for it. And there is a little bit of money set aside for that, but I'm not sure if there's enough money set aside to actually do it, to actually pay for those things. So, it may be something that we consider trying to get the ever elusive post-production money from the Film Commission. The ever elusive so far has eluded us post-production money, but maybe this could be the one.
I reckon it ticks all the boxes. It's documentary. It's got a serious real-life topic. It's raising awareness of a topic that, needs more publicity around it, and in order to get more funding and so on. And it's funded by a charity whose purpose is to, raise awareness about this, this illness. And so I feel like that ticks a lot of boxes. I feel like that's a lot of stuff, a lot of reasons to support it.
Yeah, well, you could say pretty heartless if they did it.
Well,
you could say that heartless individuals that were to funding application.
Well, I have a pretty good feeling about it. I reckon it'll work. Speaking of seances, you and I did do a seance once in a graveyard. Do you remember that? Yeah, that was good.
The only...
late at night.
The only thing that pulled it at the back of my neck, spider from inside the tomb that we
that
none of the dead spoke to us. That
No, they didn't.
Right.
They ignored us, as they always do.
And
It's
we were in the spookiest,
Gothic.
gothic tomb of the Larnac. We were in it's like
It's his tomb. It's his tomb.
It is his tomb. It's his tomb. We were in his tomb. We would in the middle of it was like really late at night. It was dark. We were spirits. Can you hear us? Any spirits out there?
We were holding hands.
And we were in a massive like cemetery in Dunedin sort of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's,
but it might be.
It's certainly up there. And like as a setting,
which we did shoot our very, very first film in that very graveyard. Our very first film, which was a horror, Superstition Bites, and it's up on the Retro Pigville YouTube channel. If you go to YouTube, search for Retro Pigville videos, you'll find it. You can see our very first film shot in this very creepy graveyard.
First and last seance.
And inside Larnac's tomb.
Inside Larnac didn't come out of the woodwork.
He didn't give a shit. He didn't give 2 squirts of shit. Did old Larnac?
And it was like, oh, did you hear something? Well, no, not really. I mean, I heard some trees and shit. Yeah. That's what you mean. What did you think was going to happen? Were you for a ghostly apparition at the time?
I was just there for the girls, brother. It's just there for the girls.
Yeah. I was like, I was on board because I was like, never done a say.
I thought it was pretty nonsensy, but I hoped. I
I
hoped, something would happen.
Yeah, that's what I hope. Something happens, but not something really, really scary. Makes me a small child in front of these women, or that
all these
essentially we call forth, or we call forth, and we literally, situation.
Yeah.
We don't
want the Exorcist
trying to move the thing that we were holding.
Have you ever noticed that only religious people get possessed by demons? Isn't that weird?
The chick in the Exorcist.
That's a fictional story, guy. And well, just like the rest of them, to be fair. Yeah, well, look, I don't actually remember if she was or not, but they brought in a preacher, so they brought in so they must have been kind of religious. She must have come from a religious-ish family, right?
That's right.
Makes sense.
So, actually, one priest couldn't get the job done. They needed 2.
Yeah.
Father Damien.
Well,
I don't know if
that's
that was
us.
Name,
that's because of us giving the demons strength by having seances and welcoming them into this world that night. You know what probably happened? The demons probably did come out that night, but they just left us alone and just ran rampant around the city and like ruined other people's lives. And we just got away with it scot-free because we're just shirty little shits, doing a seance at a cemetery.
Trying not to
very dangerous serrated fence. Yeah. Good times. I had a couple of shout outs I wanted to give this week. Mrs. Wazza is out there. She's still listening. That's great to hear. So shout out to Mrs. Wazza, one of our handful of female listeners as far as I can see. Wazza, he's out there, and Neeks Madeeks from South D. These people all need shout outs on the Guy and Harley podcast, so just wanted to shout them out. Stay safe out there, you crazy kids.
Stay safe in Dunedin, Nico. If you can.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I also went to. I was at a bar recently, a bar that I work at, and I was bumped into these Latino guys there. And so I was practicing my Spanish with these, these two different Latino guys at the bar, and a little part of me did kind of wonder if maybe on account of hanging out with Latinos in a bar that this might be the night that I meet. I'm finally introduced to Angie too.
Through them.
Yeah, right. It could happen, right? But I sort of in Spanish happened to mention that I worked, at the bar. We're chatting, making conversation in Spanish. I mentioned that I work at the bar, and he was like, "Limpiando," and I was like, in my head, I was like, "Limpiando? That means cleaner." But why would he be asking me if I was the cleaner here?
Mm.
And then he was like, in English, he was like, to clarify, he was asking if I was the cleaner.
To clarify, are you asking if I'm that this could be a bartender? Grotesque cleaning.
Well, I don't really care if he thought I was a cleaner, and I mean no disrespect to cleaners. I mean, you yourself, Guy, are a proud veteran of the cleaning industry.
I can so I'll give myself full credit.
I thought you took quite a lot of pride in your windows too.
Well, the windows are great, but cleaning.
Right. True.
So I'm an ace window cleaner, but I'm definitely very good at mop. I can mop a floor up in no time. Sticky bar floor, I'll take care of.
You're a loyal member of the community, as well. Like you still go every year, as a veteran cleaner, you still go every year to the Dawn Parade. Ajax Day.
Ajax Day.
But either way, I couldn't help but wonder why he would think I was the cleaner. Why did he think I was the cleaner? Why didn't he think I was the manager or the owner, or at least a bartender?
Why would the first assumption within the job?
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. Right? Why I mean, yeah. Yeah.
They work in a bar.
No, right?
I would but
yeah.
You fucking loser.
Yeah, well,
you look like a fucking real loser.
Well, clearly, when he looked at me, he saw me as some down and out guy that the kindly tavern owner had, given a job to, and I'm obviously not the owner or the manager, and I'm not even a bartender,
A Quasimodo
like figure that has had pity taken upon him by the tavern owner, and has been invited in off the street, and I'm given a nickel a day to go around and pick up cigarette butts, around out of the urinal and stuff like that, or I just work for beer, but to be fair, let's paint a picture of me that night. I was leaning against the bar. I'm 37 years old, and my tired blue eyes seem to stare straight through you. I'm wearing this stitched up old hat, which it's literally at least 11 years old, and it comes with me. It went with me on the cruise ship, and I went swimming in this hat in the salty blue seas of the Caribbean for 6.5 months. It travelled the world. I've got countless pictures of me wearing of it, and it fell apart the other day, and my colleague sewed it back together with white stitches. So now it's got all these white stitches all over it as well. Shout out to Reese who did that. Thank you very much, Reese. But anyway, and I was also wearing these like ripped shorts but super fashionable ripped shorts. You know, like I bought them like that. I bought them all ripped up. They're completely fucked. You know, they were like $500. You know, and of course I'm wearing these shorts so you can see that my entire leg is tattooed black for some reason, and you know, so I'm wearing my ripped up shorts. I'm wearing my ripped shorts, my stitched together 11-year-old hat, a space t-shirt from smartapparel.com. They're actually very good t-shirts, smartapparel.com, and a sleeveless like denim vest with an exclusive Pigville Productions badge on it, right? So there I am, ripped up shorts, all that stuff. As far as I'm concerned, I looked like a super cool Kingsland hipster, but clearly he looked at me and saw a homeless guy.
They're in between Kingsland hipster and Lena.
Yeah, well,
The cusp of that.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I love Latinos. I do. I love the culture and all of that type of thing. But, you know, those Latinos do not know a thing about fashion.
Didn't meet Angie too. Got mistaken.
Yeah, they did not invite the cleaner over for a drink, I'd like to add. So, you know, like, here I am having a wee chat, but at no point was I invited over, you know, to maybe join the table and, you know, meet people.
Did you get from Angie one on the podcast you sent her?
You know, she did listen to it. And that's all that's all I've got to say about that. Listen, guy, you know, my personal life's my personal life. I don't share it on the Guy and Harley podcast.
What's to talk about if you...
No, that's not true, because, you know, it is time for us to open up our saddest segment. I'm talking about who's dead this week. Now, this week is a very sad episode of Who's Dead This Week for the people that grew up in the 80s and 90s and so on, watching American sitcoms. I am, of course, talking about Dustin Diamond, famous for his role as Screech in the much-loved sitcom The Wonder Years, and best known for his catchphrase, "Did I do that?" So rest in peace, Screech.
Wasn't it Saved by the Bell?
I don't know, whatever.
Yep. Dustin Diamond is dead. So is Larry King. That was a big one.
Yeah, well, he was...
You know Larry King.
Yeah, he was Mike Tyson's manager.
He was a fixture of broadcasting and interviews. And yes, he was very old. But, you know, he's been in everything. He's been in like a whole bunch of movies. He's interviewed your favorite person, your favorite actor. Never interviewed us, obviously.
No,
we haven't attained that level of Larry King interviewing us. He kept marrying people and then divorcing them. Just kept upgrading, you know.
Yeah. Social climber.
And he's gone. COVID related, possibly.
Yeah.
And Sir Tom Moore is also dead.
Yeah.
Sir Tom Moore being the guy...
A veteran of World War II.
Yep. Who walked like, I don't know...
100 laps.
Of his backyard.
To raise money to fight COVID. And he raised millions or something.
He raised millions of dollars, millions of pounds to fight COVID. But he could not fight COVID himself. Because it killed him.
Yep.
He's actually admitted to hospital for something else.
Well, that's the thing, right? But he is. I mean, he was 100.
And then he is 100. But it's kind of like, it's not a bad story.
Well,
If pneumonia had killed, whatever. But if COVID killed him, and he did all that stuff for all the people with COVID,
well, it's like a Greek tragedy type thing. It is a fitting end in terms of like if it was a movie or if it was a story or something like that.
Yeah. Well,
it's like
there's now anymore, unfortunately.
No, so we're all giving up on the vaccine, and we're all just going to just see what happens, really.
COVID update. Now, we did have was a bit of very brief community transmission situation here in New Zealand. It looks like that's settled down now. There have been no further cases. So the trails has all the right things, and well, apart from the following day after.
Well, that's fair. You've done a 2-week quarantine. You've been careful. You've 2 tests saying that you're fine, and now you're free. You're in New Zealand, free to enjoy it.
And what better way to enjoy it than spread around the dangerous COVID, the South African version, the highly contagious version as possible.
Yeah, it was quite an unfortunate strain to bring in, really, wasn't it?
Yeah. As far as we know today, the data's come under control. One isolated that needed to. And now it's back to
I'm pretty sure that for the live stream, your stream is so rooted with breakups that really this show is just for the audio-only listeners, probably. I mean, it's okay, but anyway, this is why if you're listening out on the audio-only, shout out to you guys. We do love the live stream. We want you to come watch it here too, but shout out to you guys. If you want to listen to the proper, final edited version with all the, intros and outros and all the bits and pieces and the nonsense where we talk about the camera cut out, then go and check out the audio only version of the show as well, which is on iTunes and Spotify and Libsyn. These are and also go to facebook.com/Guy and Harley, and I'm going to post a link there as well that has all of these links in one convenient place.
Unfortunately, the situation, there's been a lot of shenanigans going on. Things not people's poor Wi-Fi.
Well,
and
yeah. I mean, to be fair, the reason why we're doing it tonight on my poor Wi-Fi is because you didn't get you're working however it was meant to work.
Yep, I had it all set up. I even had some featured all lined up. And unfortunately, we can't get Harley's Skype feed coming in because of some type of weird glitch.
Well, I'm going to work on my Wi-Fi. I'm going to get an extender and put it in my room and see if that works. I'm going to cut your head off. See if that works.
I think the only way it can't be done, I think it has
I can't. Unfortunately, I can't lay a cable because.
Well, you
but
have
I can't because I live in the woodshed at the back of somebody's house. So I'm in the woodshed for $265 a week at the back of someone's house, and I can't run a cable outside. And then, I'm pretty sure to get the cable from in my room out to the kitchen, I would need to drill a hole somewhere in some sort of wall, and then run it along the floor in the kitchen. And then because for some reason the Wi-Fi thing's on top of the fridge, so I'd have to run a cable across the kitchen floor, up the side of the fridge, and onto this, monitor, whatever the fuck the thing that the internet comes from, modem. So I don't see that happening.
Well, concerned about me getting it working with this glitch in the matrix here.
Well, I really hope the extender works because I want to run the show. I want to do it.
Now, I close personal friend Alex Savage. He is a professional wrestler. Been on hiatus for over a year. I've heard rumor. I've that he could be this.
I think you mean
weekend.
re-debuting.
I do mean that.
I mean, I am a big Alex Savage fan, so I really kept an eye on his career, and I know redoing.
Now I to
sounds like Alex Savage should be careful of his hips as well.
I also heard that Alex Savage's hip is quite sore, even in the podcast.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Listening to the podcast,
he's an admin on the show.
Happen, depending on when this goes. Hot summer fights. The Memorial Hall on the
6th,
8th.
Is it 2 days from now? Yeah. Oh, come on, G. I normally get the podcast up the next day.
So check that out. Return of Alex Savage, and that's going to be.
Yeah, well, take care out there, Alex, if you're listening. Take care of your hips, mate.
Stretches beforehand.
You don't get another chance on the hips. You get more hips.
Well, you do.
Replacement. There is another chance. Well, you might as well just get a hip replacement, Alex.
Technically, you do get another chance, but I don't think the hips they replace it with is the originals.
Well, yeah. I mean, you say that, but technology is progressing, and it does make sense that at a certain point, maybe not when you need them, but at a certain point, there will be the idea of being able to bionically upgrade, right? Because surely you replace a hip, right? But you fucking bang a computer chip in it. You got some Wi-Fi on that hip, get that hip popping.
Yep.
And like it does whatever it does, and it's got some AI, and it sends out some little, what are those little robots? Little bots out to you, that nanobots that, what are those robots that are at a nano scale? And you get those and, send it away and fix other bits of your body and so on.
Nano scale bots.
Yeah. It's going to happen. It's going to happen at some point.
Well, it's true,
and why also I'm investing in companies that do medical technology. Yeah, futuristic technology. That's where you want to be looking, people. Sounds obvious.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. Actually, have an appointment for a checkup on the hip to see how the hip's going. And this is an issue that I do have with the public health system. The appointment. And I'm like, who? They're not doing things. Pursue. Something I don't think.
Well, maybe they say, I'm going to schedule this for a high traffic time when everybody's going to see it.
Well, I'm gonna schedule this so I know I won't be about it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So anyway, I called them up and I was like, hey, look, this time doesn't really work because it was a Monday morning and I've got teaching And they're like, oh, yeah, sweet. When do you want to restart? Really, any afternoon, Friday, at any time. Because that's my mornings. And I was just Monday. And that's it. His work. All his hip specialist stuff. Monday morning. Like a Monday, like some other day every now and again.
Oh, he's a freelancer, mate. He's obviously a freelancer.
He's real.
Like, well, just get it. He just comes in on Mondays.
He's doing
he's got other jobs. He swings other places, you know. Tuesdays he's up the road at the butt factory, you know. And
well, no, it's true. Will hop from hospital to hospital. Like someone was like, "Well, Monday," and they won't give me a Monday morning off. They go, "Well,
they would."
You'll never
what they
know.
would respond to that patient is they would say, "That is YP, not MP."
Yeah, and they would say that, and what they did say. So, to be postponing my. But yeah, that's cool. The public health system.
Well, I think the public health system is pretty good here. Actually, I think our American listeners struggling through the pandemic are like, actually, so let me get this straight. All that shit's free. All that shit's free. All your hips and shit. All this stuff's free. You're not stressing about those medical bills in any way, shape, or form. Do you have health insurance?
Yeah,
you do. Yeah. No, see, you don't have. I don't have health insurance, so our system's pretty good, really. The Americans are like, they're like, fuck you guys. I quit this podcast. I've had enough. Jason P. Diddy Combs is like, you know what? This is the straw that broke the camel's back. I'm fucking out.
Complaining about an appointment time.
This is that. We're suffering through a pandemic here.
We're in a actual lockdown. Might be right.
But I mean, there's always room for improvement. I see what you're saying. Yeah. Well, Guy, I'm glad that you asked that instead of initiating a topic of conversation, because I'm all out of notes. So,
right.
So, what have you got to talk about?
Well, did you hear back about your auditions?
I didn't get any.
You're on the short list.
Didn't get any of them. Didn't get any of these auditions. So I was on the short list for one, and I did not get it.
Had a call
but,
back.
You know, the thing that I did get is $50 for going to that second audition. So look, I'm still happy with that. I got $50. Minus, of course, tax and commission. It's $35 after tax and commission. But hey, that's $35 in the bank to go and do some acting, right? For like 10 minutes. So that's a pretty good gig. And you know what I did?
It's good hourly
It's good.
rate.
And you know what I actually got out of an hour of work, another job I had, which paid a very similar rate. So really, I'm only, I'm not really up at all because I had to say no to an hour of work to go and do that audition that paid a similar rate. But nevertheless, it was $35 after tax and commission for 10 minutes of acting. And you know what? I reckon that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, $16,000 would have been cooler.
Yeah, it would have been a lot cooler. That one was actually 10 or 11,000. So the 16,000 I didn't get on the shortlist for, but I did get on the shortlist for a 10,000. So that's that's quite a lot of money.
When are you for the untitled Amazon project? That's what I want to know.
Well, they ain't calling me up, dog. They ain't calling me up.
Well, have you had a convo?
No.
Have you had a little powwow with the agent?
No.
About it. Need to be pushing for that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Me and every other actor in New Zealand.
Yeah,
pushing for it.
There's only there's only 25 of you. So
I tell you what I am doing. I'm befriending people that work on it. Okay, and I've got a few different avenues here. I'm befriending people that work on it. Okay, because that's how this industry really works. You got to know people. You got to know the right people. You got to know people working on the job before you can get on the job. You might get an audition, and you might get it through your agent, but it's a bit of a crapshoot. And considering they haven't even called me for a single audition for Untitled Amazon project, you got to know people. So I'm working my way in. I did send them actually my CV to see about being a driver for them. So to go and pick up and drop off, hopefully celebrities, but probably just like random shit. But like supposedly like picking up and dropping off people from the airport and so on for Untitled Amazon Project, which is a very large television show being shot in New Zealand, set in Middle Earth.
The Amazon Untitled
projects, the Lord of them. Yeah, exactly. That is what you might call it, actually. Yeah. So I sent somebody on the inside my CV, and they got back to me and said that they don't really need anybody right now.
But
we'll keep your CV
on
file. So I'm just checking my emails, really. I'm just waiting, but I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I'm pretty sure this is going to lead to me getting a role on Untitled Amazon Project.
A CV is kept on file. It is essentially
death sentence.
Like you are guaranteed that you will never hear from us again.
It's actually a blacklist. It's actually a blacklist.
You're anything about your CV, but if it goes on file, is the file in the trash. You will never ever hear. I've never heard from anyone that file.
I think I have, actually, to be honest. I'm pretty sure somebody called me one time because I had applied for something else, and it was actually a cool opportunity. But I don't recall the specifics and any details, and I have no examples. But I feel like it's happened to me. I feel like it's happened to me at some point. Yeah.
So that's
I have been watching I've been watching Cracked on Netflix, or something. It's like a crack documentary about crack cocaine, but it's not teaching me anything new, so I wasn't going to mention it. And then I've been watching Away. Do you know this one? Away. Have you heard about this? You seen about this? Seen this? You heard about this? Away, and it's a space crew on its way to Mars, and the whole show so far is basically set inside this spaceship. So it's quite a small space with quite a small cast, and then there's phone calls back home and so on. Yeah, I forget her name. That's
Hilary Swank.
Hilary Swank, the boxer. Yeah.
Yeah. $1 Million Baby.
But that's good. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. I haven't given up on it yet, but I'm not like, but what's going to happen next? So far, I'm a bit like, well, what the fuck? But it is quite a cool way to do a film, a big budget film, but really set. It's all the budget must go on CGI and so on.
Well,
because it's basically, the actors too.
Paying, that with the budget.
True, but I mean, like, I guess the point is from a low budget filmmaking perspective, like it's 5 or 6 people like in a spaceship, and then there's phone calls back home and a few scenes set back home, but the scenes set back home are just like, sort of family stuff, phone calls and, whatever, like, normal life stuff, nothing like kind of crazy. All the crazy stuff's happening on the ship, but the ship, of course, is one set. So it's just one little set with 6 people on it, which is quite a cool way of, quite a cool place to set a story on a long journey to Mars.
Well, it's a pretty indie, like trying to do it indie and, executing. It's the one location, but, being like these one location things are kind of dumb. Like, I don't know. Remember that one with in the coffin, buried or alive or something?
Yeah.
And the one with old what's his name in the phone booth, Colin Farrell, phone booth, and it's like, this is stupid. Like, just walk away from this.
I see your phone booth, and I counter you with The Platform.
The Platform was really good.
It was a great film.
But that's the yes, it was.
I'm going to counter you with another one if you'd like.
Yeah,
Rick.
Well, it was.
Yeah.
And stories in different rooms, big.
As opposed to a phone booth.
With the Platform, it was. I guess the difference being like it's just another.
Well, it's a one set. They would just reuse the same set again and again and again.
Introduced to a different characters and elements on each level.
Yeah, but we're talking about how to
keeps things different.
Of course. Well, yeah, compared to like a phone booth. But in terms of like a way to make a cheap, good film, this one location thing, a spaceship is obviously a good location because you can do it in the backyard. You literally build a spaceship in your backyard and chuck some people in it, put a bit of green screen around it, and you go, all right, guys, the whole movie's set in my shed. And away you go.
OG original.
Feel free to use this idea, Sam Wheeler out there, low budget filmmaker, knows how to get things done on a budget. I feel like this is something he might enjoy as a concept, a place to film something. So shout out to Sam.
Well, I quite enjoy it as a concept. I think you just want to have like a reasonably spacious spaceship.
I think what you want to have is a cool, interesting script. I think that's the big one. That's the hardest bit.
Yeah. But I think that necessitates some diversity within the spaceship location.
Yeah. Well,
as opposed to them just being, hey, what's going on? Oh, there's some asteroids out there. Or what's out there now? But has anyone's got some examples?
Christian Nicholson.
Good.
This giant paper mache boulder is actually really heavy. Just wanted to give him a wee shout out for his sci-fi that he built a set for as well.
In just one place?
No, it's not. There's quite a few locations.
Many locations, far off planets.
Yeah.
But
I was just thinking about spaceships being built in people's backyards.
So yeah, that's well, I've been watching WandaVision. Heard about that one?
It's the new Wonder Woman.
It's the new TV they're dipping their toe into now. And some chick from the Marvel universe.
Her name's Wonder Woman.
Her name's Wanda, but that's not really what her name is. And Vision, that she's dating, actually like a robot that they Infinity Stone into his head. And basically the idea is that here to be kind of a crazy sitcom where it's like for the 1940s or 50s, the 1960s, like the Brady Bunch from the 1970s. Obviously, there's a lot more going on to it than that. The weird part is they just do these. I get that this is like intriguing. You're like, hey, yes, but also watch the fucking shitty cities. There is a reason that we don't make bombs 2021 of just crazy things are happening. They'll change soon, you'll find out. Okay, but do I need to sit through this concept for like 2 to full fucking episodes? Netflix problem. Got to stretch it out. Got to make it. Actually, yeah. But on episode 4, the old, it comes out every, like, you know, a normal TV show used to be.
Oh, that's novel. That's quaint.
What's your thought on that?
Putting out shows 1 episode per week. I'm to be honest, yeah, I really think we should put that behind us. Like, I'm kind of, I just want to watch when I want to watch. I mean, to be honest though, I mean, with like Game of Thrones, for example, I did really look forward to it coming out. You know, it was like, oh, the new show's coming out, and I would put it in my diary. You know, like I would make a note somewhere. You know, I'd be like, what day is it coming out? So when every episode of Game of Thrones would come out, obviously I'd be like fucking Johnny on the spot with the watching. You know, I'd be right there, fucking soaking up fucking philosophies and so on from Littlefinger. You know, like,
I feel like you used to watch that with Andy.
Why would you do that? Why would you do that to me? We're not even talking about it right now.
I know. Might have been that you used to watch it with. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know.
You only lasted. Your relationship lasted to about season 7.
Yeah.
Maybe season 7. Yeah. Probably.
I
maybe
feel like she did actually leave before the end of the before the last season came out. I think that's true. Yeah. Yeah, and when we broke up, I posted a picture, a video on Facebook. Do you remember that? It was from Game of Thrones.
Yeah, like a big ranty style thing incorporated the Game of Thrones. It was a feel sorry for myself Facebook post, the class.
But that's really unfair. You need to go back and read that. And it's poetry.
And also
no, she did, and she commented a very positive comment on it. So you're full of shit. But also, like, the reason why the post had to be done, this was my post announcing that I was no longer in a relationship with her, which needed to be done after 5 years because we needed to disengage our Facebook profiles. So to disengage the Facebook profiles, obviously we needed to sort of let someone know, you know, I mean, like, well, I do have friends and family on there and so on, friends and family on Facebook, you know, I mean, it's like, obviously, at some point you've got to publicly acknowledge it.
You just did it at the end. You didn't say anything.
That's bullshit. If you've been together for 5 years, you're probably going to announce something and say, hey guys, look, you know, it's been great with this person, but it's now finished. You know, so that's why you might notice pictures of me out hitting the clubs with, you know, 20-year-old babes. You know what I mean? Like, I'm no longer in a relationship. You see?
Status update. Harley is single. The end.
No, that's not on. So what I had to explain. And so it was a very well written status, very well received. Thank you very much. But it also had a video of Tyrion Lannister and the Queen of Dragons having a conversation about her breaking up with a mercenary and moving on with her life. You know, a man that loved her and would have treated her like a queen, but she was just happy to move on and get on with it. She's got to conquer the world, and so I said, well, that's I wish you the best, and you know, go conquer the world. And so it was actually a very nice status, I'll have you know. Now, why are we talking about my ex-girlfriend again? You know, what is this all about?
Well, just because you just watch Game of Thrones.
Yeah, well, we're talking about Game of Thrones. Talking about my ex-girlfriend.
Well, you brought up Game
yes,
of
but
Thrones.
you can't. I'll have you know that I watch a lot of things.
Of who you used to watch with.
We watched a lot of things together. Many nights were spent listening and watching, you know, things together. Listening to and watching things together, all right? So there you go. Like, you can't, you know, I'm talking about Game of Thrones here.
Well, anyway, what we were saying is there is actually scientific research or something along those lines. The brain just did these binge sessions that we're doing with these now,
Right.
and to them and for them to sort of consciousness for an extended period of it is healthy to not watch them in a 24-hour period.
Yeah, cool. But I don't do that. So that's not really a problem for me. I just watch one episode when I, like normally before I go to bed, I'll if there's something that I'm interested in on Netflix, I'll go, if I get to bed before 11:30 p.m., then I will probably watch something for 45 minutes. But it's not every single night, and it's, but it's, it'll be once a day max, and oftentimes there's like big gaps in between, so it's not even once a day. So I'm not really binging it. I'm just watching it when it's convenient for me. And it is kind of annoying when you're like, man, I want to watch the next episode of that thing and I'm free right now, but actually they're not releasing it right now.
It's almost like it was back in the day.
The olden days.
Except that we do tune in at a certain time to watch anything anymore. A special channel order to set up to record the thing that's going to air. It was crazy. We had it hard in our childhood.
Youth.
We had to watch things with ads in them. We had to watch things at the time that they were prescribed for us to watch.
You had to rush to go to the toilet. If you needed to piss and you were really into a show, you had to rush, leap over the couch, rush to the toilet, take the quickest massive shit you could, don't even wipe your bum, and then just run back to the lounge and launch over the couch again while simultaneously pulling up your pants and doing a ninja roll, and then, getting back in time for the last ad.
And also, obviously, that came with ads are tailored to us, so they're at least of our. Whereas back then, they didn't social the ability to so you and didn't want.
I want more air in my hair. I want more air in my hair.
And also, like, yeah, damn, life really sucks. Back in the olden days when when he was, you had to. We got seasons of shows like 1 to 2 years late.
Yeah.
They paid for them, so essentially they wait. Those TV shows are cheap, and they go brand new. 2 Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza show's been cancelled already, but we've got it here.
Yeah.
And it was just also where they would put on like, and you go, cool, sweet, I've watched that, and then it's like, now we got to wait for the next season, and so they would just repeat. They'd start from whatever so they'd repeat like 3 seasons and get to the new one.
Oh, that's cunning. That's how you get advertising revenue in the old days.
Well, you could, for all the seasons all at once.
Well, what about this though? What about, our generation is actually very, 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 very unique. And I mentioned last episode, I said I hope that there's internet archaeologists out there that are finding our recordings 1,000 years from now. There's internet archaeologists. Yeah, well, we are.
You ever hear the end of these internet archaeologists?
We are a very unique generation, and these people are listening to us right now. So pay respect, Guy. And so we're a very unique generation, right? In the sense that we had to cross over. We are literally the generation that crossed over between the analog world and the digital world, the internet world and the pre-internet world. And that's going to be as powerful as like AD and BC one day. There'll be before internet and after internet. Right? Like in my case at the moment, life is broken up into before crying and after departure. But anyway, that's unrelated. But yeah, so we are in this generation that crosses over it. So I want to know, on the one hand, I think, hey, this is kind of an advantage in the modern world because I didn't grow up with iPads and shit, right? So I'm like kind of got this advantage in the sense that I don't know, like I'm got more real worldy kind of experiences that the kids growing up today don't necessarily have. Like all that pre-digital shit that I did. But on the other hand, maybe my education fully suffered because I wasn't on the internet from 5 years old, or 3 years old or whatever, and I wasn't going through primary school, aware of the internet and learning way more shit. So maybe it's a huge disadvantage to be our generation because we're between two generations. The generation before us can make a living, from being in one sort of solid time period. The one after us, they're born into the internet, but we are the one, on the cusp. And does that mean that, the people coming up a few years behind us actually have a real big advantage over us?
Well, it's weird because you have a TV and you're like, what are you talking about? You didn't have a TV. The difference is way less than the difference between the internet and
no internet
having the internet.
Absolutely.
Like it's drastic. So if I sort of reflect upon internet and the difference, I definitely waste a lot more time, a lot more, and have a lot more distractions that aren't very helpful. But learn something. Learn to become a specific or something or other to really stand the nut something and really get a grip or a handle on type of thing. The topics, I would say it's sort of what would be a year's worth is a couple.
Yeah.
Library. Reading a bunch of sort of out of
literal
date
books.
Apply what you learn.
It's a huge disadvantage.
Things not quite work. Work. Well, there's no tutorial.
Just figure it out. This fucking book from the library. A literal book from the library.
From
I
the
can't
library.
Google it. I don't have a phone. I don't have a computer. I literally need to go to the library to figure out this random thing.
And then at the library and see if they've got
other
books. And they're like, we don't have any books, but our other library does have them. Send that book to you. It'll just take another week and a half. And would you like to?
Well,
so I'll do that.
I feel jealous.
So learning was really fucking slow.
I feel jealous of like Logan Marshall, occasional 5150 listener, and his gang. These guys are like 21 and they're making great films to a real high standard with real good gear, and I'm sure they did study as well, but I'm sure that a lot of different things they learned were all on the internet, so when it came time to edit, you're like, how do I do this thing? Like you couldn't, when you were editing our first feature film, the one shot in the old graveyard, Superstition Bites, when you were feature film, short film, when you were editing that on 2 VCRs, there was no internet that said, how do you edit a short film on 2 VCRs? And if people would struggle with that nowadays. Well, I mean, they would struggle with it back then, but I would struggle with it too. But like, you know what I mean? If you gave people 2 VCRs and said, hey, edit a film, it would take quite a while to figure this shit out.
Well,
but,
you just
I'm
press
sure
play
there's
on one
some
and record on the other. It's because tape.
Stop instantly. So it's about timing.
When you press record, it have to toss. So yes, that's it's obviously that you had to edit things in camera instead of relying on. So CRs can only cut but you can't have music, you can't do anything with that. Think about any of those things.
Yeah, so you manually
as
add
you're
a
filming.
fade to black on the last scene.
Yeah, exactly.
Otherwise, it'll just end suddenly, abruptly, with straight to black. But so the point really, I guess, is that these young bucks are advancing a lot faster than us, and so they've got this advantage of being born into this technology, where technology is way more advanced, and they can Google things quickly to learn how to work that technology. And so it's like quite a concern. I feel like it hasn't really caught up with me yet. I don't feel like I'm really horribly behind yet, but maybe soon I'll start feeling like I'm horribly behind on what the kids are doing.
Yeah, I'd say you're probably horribly
Well, I seem
behind.
to be doing it right.
20 years
Yeah.
can now be one to two,
And that's, well,
and it's
that's
like
the-
cool.
That's it. Shout out to our younger listeners. That's some advice for you. You've got it better than the generation before you. So
You can condense.
get into it.
They've got other, I
Of
suppose.
course, every generation's got its own problems, but filmmaking ain't one. They got 99 problems, but filmmaking ain't one.
It's really it's so much easier. And it's
Yeah.
only getting
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. Well, I'm getting more and more bitter about it too. It's like that old saying, "Time festers all wounds." Well,
On that note,
I'm once again very happy to continue talking, but I don't have any notes.
yeah, and I probably should head off to bed or something of those.
Yeah,
one
you
of
know, I
those
haven't
two
actually
things.
cooked dinner at this new house yet, not even once, because I haven't settled in yet. I'm not comfortable enough going in there and
That is, yeah.
well, not really, not just a little bit here and there, but like not really properly. We haven't like sat down in the same place at any point. It's like just passing in the kitchen. Because it's kind of like I've got my own little woodshed out the back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just kind of bump into them briefly while I'm like cooking some toast or something. So yeah.
Cooking up your classic meal of toast.
Yeah. Toast twice a day will keep the doctor away. That's what the saying says.
If you want to lose weight, just eat toast.
Toast. 4 pieces per serving. Get the Vogels or the Bergen, right? Which is like these good brands with like lots of seeds and so on. Dense bread, quite dense bread. Get those. The toast diet. Get those and just gobble that up. 4 pieces in the morning and any other time you feel like it. And in terms of toppings, peanut butter's fine, but you can have tomato, tomato and cucumber if you want, tomato and cream cheese.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of things you can have on toast. So if it's dinner time, you might have tomato. If it's breakfast time, you might have Vegemite. Do you see?
Now,
The toast diet.
there's another part of the diet, the toast diet, that has to be something else to make it effective, and that is you have to be approximately 26, 27 years
I'm
old.
still on the toast diet. And I'm still not that fat.
Yeah, but I feel like if you just really ate that toast, that would catch up to you now.
I've started taking toast to work because I'm too scared to cook at my house because I haven't settled in yet. So I'm not cooking dinner, which means I don't have anything to take for lunch to work, right? So what I've been doing is just getting up, having my toast, and then putting 4 extra pieces of bread and the butter into a
Freeze
bag
toast
with some
it.
peanut butter, and then I take it to work, and then I
God.
just cook my toast at work. Toast diet. I'm telling you guys, this is if you're out there, you're 5150, you're keen to lose some weight, toast diet. Toast diet's the way. I lost weight to perform on I Survived a Zombie Holocaust, our first feature film. I used the toast diet and I dropped kilos. I dropped them like hot
You did.
potatoes.
The first ever, unfortunately, went Stray.
Well, it did.
Mid-shoot. Came the lolly diet.
Yes, well, I'll tell you why.
The lolly
I'll
diet,
tell you why. Because of the poor catering. The catering on set. What do you want from me? I can't keep up my toast diet. There was literally no toaster on set. Am I right? I couldn't maintain the toast diet with no toaster, but so I had to transfer to the lolly diet, and that wasn't my fucking fault. All right, I'm a human. I need sustenance. If the sustenance nearby is lollies, and I'm tired, well, so be it. But if it's toast, obviously I'll maintain my slender physique.
5 kgs.
It all starts with the face. It did, and you can actually see it if you watch the film and start paying attention to the continuity. You can notice that it's been filmed over 10 years.
Yeah, it definitely does.
Yeah,
get a bit rounder. We'll laugh at the fact that you had to keep that for like 2 years.
Yeah, right. Just bald, long on the sides, bald on top.
Punishment. Yeah, as a punishment for being the lead.
Yeah,
in that, had to keep that. Like can't afford a wig, can't afford it's probably not going to look like you just have to explain. You have to explain to every single person that ever sees your hairdo that this is not something that you would choose.
Well, especially because it obviously got a lot worse over that time as well. So my receding hairline receded, further and further and further. I mean, I'm an optimist. I don't think of it as a receding hairline as much as I think of it as an advancing face line. But nevertheless, it did get much more pronounced.
It's just, it's funny that it was just like, well, we need to shoot some stuff.
So you got to keep growing your hair.
When stop?
Yeah.
I don't know.
2 years? Whenever this film comes out.
3 years?
The perils of acting in a Guy Pigden film. You got to keep your hair the same for several years.
You got to maintain continuity.
All right. Well, on continuity, let's continue on with our lives by ending this show.
Yeah.
It has been fun, and I hope you'll all support us on facebook.com/Guy and Harley, or by going to olderfilm.com and hitting buy now and watching our second feature film, Older, which has just come out, which is we're really super proud of it, and I think it's a great film. We just need people to see it. olderfilm.com. Also facebook.com/Guy and Harley, youtube.com/Pigville and the number 2. That's where you can watch our main YouTube channel. If you want to support this podcast on YouTube, go to YouTube and search for the Guy and Harley podcast. We're trying to get our hours up so we can monetize this channel and make some money out of this show. I mean, that's probably about all the things. So thank you very much. That's a sign off from me. What do you got to say, Guy?
I should just say thanks, and we'll catch you on the next one.